In the 1930s, a Japanese death cult, Hedas, bought poor kids from around the world and trained them as assassins to destroy the spirituality in China, but it was disbanded because its invasion clashed with the objective of the Japanese military. The founder, Amano Kawao, got arrested, and the members were exiled. In prison, the Japanese prince, seeking protection, approached Amano. Aware of Amano's unrelenting ambition to revive Hades, the prince proposed an alliance. Despite Amano being in custody, the prince saw an opportunity to rebuild the cult with Amano's guidance. Somewhere else, a young man, Kurashiga Daisuke, is training martial arts. He managed to defeat everyone, but as he was fighting, Amano called him from behind and scolded him for training by himself. He then asked Daisuke if he knew that he had met the prince, and Kurashiga confirmed. Amano tasked Daisuke with a daunting mission. Within a month, he must summon all the Hades warriors and restore the grandeur of the Hades temple. Additionally, he demanded Daisuke prepare to face K-29, known as the Wrath of Vajra, a former Shaolin disciple who had since earned a reputation fighting for the Japanese emperor. Amano symbolically handed over the leadership of Hades to Daisuke, urging him to rebuild the cult and prove his worth. To bolster Daisuke's efforts, Amano assigned Echo, his child, to assist. Echo, a journalist, would document Hades' resurgence, spreading its power and influence through her reports. At the Shaolin Temple, K-29 was deep in training. Using an hourglass to measure his speed, he practiced tirelessly. However, memories of a devastating moment haunted him, the fateful fight with his elder brother California, 31. That ended in tragedy. During his session, his sister Cassava arrived with their teacher, bringing sand for his hourglass. Cassava noted that K-29 still hadn't mastered a deadly technique requiring precision and control within 17 seconds. The teacher explained that K-29's restraint, born from his tendency to suppress emotions, hindered him. True strength, he reminded him, came from channeling pure emotions, where even destructive power could be controlled through compassion. Meanwhile, Chinese military forces, led by a commander named Bill, were captured and transported to a remote island housing the Hades temple. Upon arrival, they walked through bridges, forests, and mountains. When they finally reached the temple, they witnessed prisoners forced into brutal combat, offered freedom only if they pledged loyalty to Hades. Among the fighters was a man named Huang Jiqiang, who triumphed in a bloody match, earning the right to face the sect's leader. The high priest welcomed the troops, and one of Hades' members outlined the harsh rules of survival within their ranks. As Bill and the others watched, a mortician quietly collected bodies for burial after the fight. After, the soldiers were taken to a cell. Inside the cell, the soldiers contemplated if they should sign to fight to be allowed to leave. Amidst this, Tetsumaku Rai approached the cell next to them, occupied by the winner of the fight, Jiqiang. He called himself Vajra, but Jiqiang mocked him, telling him he would never be called Vajira because he is not the real king. Tetsumaku, angered by this, strangled Jiqiang before pushing him away. The next day, the soldiers got taken to the temple. Daisuke confronted Bill, urging him to return to Hades, but Bill refused, choosing death over allegiance. Daisuke promised peace, trying to tempt the soldiers to join, but they were firm with their decision. K-29 sought his master, who was not feeling well. K-29 rushed, asking if he was okay, and his teacher revealed that the Hades leader had returned and would soon challenge him. In his final moments, the teacher urged K-29 to prepare himself and display the true power of his kung fu. After this, K-29 started preparing himself outside as everyone gathered inside the temple. He then heard the sound of Cassava's cries from the Shaolin temple and realized that his master had passed. He got on his knees and mourned the loss of his teacher. After this, K-29 started training fiercely. At the same time, Daisuke was also training his own men. During the funeral of K-29's master, a monk came running and told him distressing news. Cassava had been kidnapped by Hades. Elsewhere, a group of children, including Cassava, were brought to the Hades temple. Terrified, Cassava cried and tried to flee, but was intercepted by Daisuke, who became enraged by her defiance and violently restrained her. The children were then branded with Hades' signature markings as a sign of their forced allegiance. Meanwhile, K-29 arrived at the island where the Hades temple was located. He carried an empty coffin, symbolizing his readiness for confrontation. Inside the temple, fighters prepared for matches, and Jiqiang, a skilled combatant, faced Tetsumaku, a brutal member of Hades. During the fight, K-29 arrived at the scene, determined to rescue the children. He confronted Daisuke, demanding the release of the children, but Daisuke refused, proposing instead that K-29 follow the rules of Hades and fight to settle the matter. Back at the fight, despite his efforts, Jiqiang was defeated and killed by Tetsumaku, whose cruelty shocked even seasoned fighters. K-29 jumped to save him, but he was too late. He then carried the body and gave it to the soldiers nearby. Though deeply provoked, K-29 controlled his rage and managed to fight Tetsumaku. K-29 fought with precision. He managed to beat Tetsumaku aggressively and demanded he repent for his actions, but instead, Tetsumaku lashed out and killed a captive. K-29 retaliated swiftly, ending Tetsumaku's life. The prisoners cheered K-29's victory, angering Daisuke. After the fight, K-29 took the body of Jiqiang to be prepared for burial. While there, he saw other bodies that were also being prepared for burial. Later, Echo confronted K-29 about his violent actions, questioning his motives. K-29, calm and resolute, explained that his actions were necessary to protect the children. However, Echo argued that they were safer under Hades' control, which K-29 vehemently denied, asserting that Hades would only turn them into killers. K-29 went to Daisuke to tell him that he is looking forward to his fight with Crazy Monkey. Daisuke ordered the young boys who were in training to fight K-29, but they couldn't defeat him. Daisuke then took a sword from one of the boys and threw it to K-29, but missed him intentionally. K-29 didn't flinch and left after a warning. Later, K-29 reflected on his past and remembered a secret passage in the Hades temple he had discovered as a child with his brother, California. 31. He resolved to use it to locate Cassava and the other children, who were being forced to worship the Hades deity. He went through the passage and saw Daisuke leading a cremation ceremony for Tetsumaku, honoring him despite his crimes. During the procession, Echo approached K-29, expressing doubts about the truth behind Hades' actions. K-29 encouraged her to trust her instincts and see beyond the facade of the sect. The next day, Hades members captured 3 prisoners, including Arnold, a subordinate of Bill. These captives were offered as sacrifices to Crazy Monkey. As they were in a dark room, they started hearing whispers from all sides of the room. Crazy Monkey, moving like a shadow, slaughtered them one by one. K-29 confronted Daisuke, who accused him of betraying his brother CA-31. According to Daisuke, K-29's blind aggression had caused his brother's death. Despite this accusation, K-29 prepared for the inevitable battle, determined to expose Hades and rescue the innocents trapped in its grip. K-29, haunted by his brother's death for over a decade, admitted that the tragedy had shaped his resolve to rescue the kidnapped children. Daisuke questioned why K-29 had not used the lethal 17-second technique in his fight against Tetsumaku and expressed his expectation for K-29 to use it against Crazy Monkey. The conversation turned personal as Daisuke revealed he had been waiting 12 years to settle a score with K-29, who reluctantly agreed to face him when the time came. Elsewhere, the prisoners gathered for a meal when they noticed the mortician dragging Arnold's lifeless body. Bauer, one of the soldiers, rushed to confront the situation, leading to a chaotic altercation. In his fury, Bauer lashed out at a Hades member, stabbing him with a metal rod. K-29 rushed to his side and Bauer begged K-29 to end his suffering. With a heavy heart, K-29 granted his final request. Angered by Arnold's murder, K-29 demanded answers, and a Hades member admitted that Arnold had been offered as a sacrifice to Crazy Monkey. That night, K-29 went to confront Crazy Monkey. K-29 threatened him, saying that he won't live to see another dawn. That night, K-29 prepared to fight Crazy Monkey in the dark. The fight began, and Crazy Monkey got the upper hand. Echo secretly used her camera flash to capture moments of the battle, inadvertently distracting Crazy Monkey. The intense battle continued with both of them throwing calculated moves. Suddenly, the mortician emerged from the water and used fire powder to light the place. This helped K-29, and they both fell into the water. Inside, K-29 managed to defeat and kill Crazy Monkey. The next day, the Japanese prince confronted Amano in anger, furious that their strongest fighter had been defeated. At the same time, Echo revealed to Amano that she had exposed the truth about Hades to the Japanese public, shattering its facade of honor. Amano, in turn, sent samurai weapons to the high priest, who secretly armed Hades members for a massacre planned for the next prisoner fight. From his hidden vantage point, K-29 observed these preparations. After witnessing Bill's men being hanged for inciting resistance, K-29 devised a plan. He placed a letter in Arnold's hand, trusting the mortician would deliver it. Later, K-29 pleaded with Daisuke to spare the remaining prisoners and rescind Bill's punishment. Daisuke agreed, but imposed a condition. Bill and his men had to fight K-29 to the death. Though his comrades urged him to refuse, Bill insisted they accept the challenge as soldiers of the Chinese army. During the fight, K-29 fought fiercely but carefully, ensuring he did not cause excessive harm. Once the match concluded, he ordered the mortician to discreetly handle the bodies. Unbeknownst to the others, K-29's plan was unfolding. The mortician revived Bill and his men and provided them with instructions to assist K-29 in freeing the prisoners and protecting the children. K-29 found Cassava and the other children, who were terrified and huddled together. He comforted Cassava, assuring her of safety. After this, he went to Daisuke, who asked why he was not using his deadly moves during fights. K-29 calmly explained that he doesn't need the deadly moves. Meanwhile, the mortician attempted to infiltrate the prison to deliver K-29's letter to Bill's remaining allies, but was discovered and captured by Hades members. The mortician was accused by Daisuke and the Hades members of being responsible for the fire during the fight with Crazy Monkey. To prevent further disruptions, the high priest suggested locking the prisoners away during upcoming battles, a proposal Daisuke begrudgingly accepted. Meanwhile, Bill and his allies secretly prepared to execute their escape plan, using information provided by the mortician to locate the hidden passages. The following day, the high priest gave a chilling order: eliminate anyone who posed a threat, including K-29. He armed Hades members with the samurai swords sent by Amano. Hearing this, Echo rushed to warn K-29, urging him to flee. However, K-29 revealed he already knew of the plot and had devised his counterplan. Elsewhere, Bill led a daring breakout, freeing the prisoners and inciting chaos across the temple. In the arena, K-29 faced Daisuke. Before their battle began, Daisuke taunted K-29 by revealing the mortician was captured and bound, forcing K-29 to witness his suffering. As rain began to fall, the battle erupted with ferocity. At the same time, the freed prisoners stormed the chambers where the children were held. A violent skirmish ensued as the high priest commanded his followers to kill the captives. Amidst the chaos, Echo intercepted an attack meant for Cassava, shielding the child but suffering a fatal wound. As she lay dying, Echo urged those around her to protect the children, drawing her final breath in Bill's arms. In the arena, K-29 struggled against Daisuke, enduring a barrage of powerful blows. Just as he appeared defeated, the mortician called out to him and revealed a hidden truth. He was K-29's older brother, long presumed dead. Showing his own Hades mark, the mortician implored K-29 to rise and fulfill his destiny. Fueled by this revelation, K-29 activated the 17-second technique, unleashing a series of devastating strikes. With one final Vajra punch, K-29 overpowered Daisuke, channeling his emotions into pure strength. Meanwhile, the prisoners continued their rebellion, overpowering the Hades members. Bill confronted the high priest in a fierce duel, ultimately striking him down. As Daisuke succumbed to his injuries, he lamented the fall of Hades, his final words acknowledging K-29 as the true king of Vajra. Daisuke collapsed from the arena as dawn broke. Witnessing their leader's demise, the remaining Hades members discarded their weapons in surrender, while the prisoners celebrated their hard-won victory. The next day, the survivors gathered at the shore, waiting for ships to take them home. Among them was CA-31, who revealed he had survived being cast into the sea by Hades members years ago. K-29, Cassava, and CA-31 visited Echo's grave, honoring her sacrifice. As the sun rose over the horizon, the temple stood empty, marking the end of Hades.